Planet Dolan.
From leaving an exam to get a haircut to getting framed by invisible creatures, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the dumbest excuses we've heard. I'm Alyssa, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 9 was submitted by DUNCASTERWOOD. Dylan's a bad liar. Once in kindergarten, he really had to go number 2. He raced all the way to the bathroom, and when he finished his business, he almost used an entire roll of toilet paper. The toilet wouldn't flush, so Dolan kept pressing the button again and again, which flooded the whole bathroom. The school had to close the toilets and call in a plumber. When Dolan's teacher asked why he did it, Dolan nervously said,
"It wasn't me, sir. It was this small creature that only I can see. It broke in, tore out all the toilet paper, and shoved it in."
But for some reason, the teachers thought a small imaginary creature did it was a terrible excuse. So Dolan was sent home for the day. Number 8 was submitted by WhenDankMemesFly. In 6th grade, Slapped Ham heard the dumbest excuse ever. Slapped Ham had just stayed up all night finishing his Spanish project. He got to class on Monday morning and saw his friend, aka the biggest procrastinator ever. This friend hadn't finished the project, but instead of just saying something believable like his computer died, he told the entire class that lightning hit his house and burnt it down. While escaping the flames, Slapped Ham's friend apparently tripped and broke his finger, which meant he couldn't type up his Spanish project. He held up his slightly bent finger for proof. Slapped Ham burst out laughing at the horrible excuse, but for some reason, his teacher believed it. She kept shaking her head saying, "That's so sad!" She told Slapped Ham's lying friend not to worry about it and just finish the project whenever he could. And she didn't ask for any proof. Slapped Ham still hates this teacher to this day. Number 7 was submitted by DRAGONBALLWEE. One time, Pringle's Japanese class had to read out loud from their textbooks. Unfortunately, Pringle had forgotten his book, and he knew he would get sent to detention if he didn't have a good excuse. When it was Pringle's turn to read, he told the teacher that a hobo had stolen it while he was studying downtown. Supposedly, the hobo was planning a trip to Japan and needed the textbook to learn the language. Pringle said it's possible the hobo was lying and just wanted to use the book to start a fire. Pringle's teacher didn't believe him for a second. Pringle may be failing Japanese, but gets an A+ for creative excuses. Number 6 was submitted by CDG Got Swag. One time, Doobie's class took a school trip to the museum. On the way home, a creepy boy came and sat next to Doopie at the back of the bus. Without saying anything, he reached over and grabbed Doopie's breast. Doopie screamed and said,
"Why the hell would you do that?"
The creepy boy just shrugged and said, "I don't know, I felt lonely." He went to do it again, but Doopie punched him right in the nose. It was definitely an eventful trip to the museum. Number 5 was submitted by Run G! One time, Hellbent's class was getting ready for a big English test. They were about to begin when suddenly, a female student stood up and said there was an emergency and she had to go. When the teacher asked her what was so important, the girl said her hairdresser was going out of town. She said her hair was a mess right now, and that she only trusted it with Sandra. The teacher reminded her that the test was worth 40% of her grade, but the girl chose to leave anyway. This is why Hellbent doesn't understand girls. Number 4 was submitted by Josh is a Potato 77. When Nixium was a kid, he had a friend who always made excuses to not hang out. After months of bugging him, Nixium convinced him to come over for a sleepover. For the first few hours it went well, and the friend was having lots of fun. But then, when they started to watch a movie, Nixium's friend suddenly jumped up and said, "I gotta go, I just remembered, I have to mow my dad's lawn." Nixium looked at the clock and saw it was 10 o'clock at night. It's the weirdest excuse he's ever heard. Number 3 was submitted by LilyLuvsLammas. One time, Andy's English class was tasked with reading a book by the end of the week. By Friday, most of the class had read it, but one of Andy's classmates hadn't. When the teacher asked why she hadn't read it, the girl said, "I couldn't read it because a new favorite season of my favorite show just came out. Plus, my mom made me feed the cats, so between binging Netflix and feeding the cats, I had no time." The student got a big fat fail, but at least she's up to date with her shows. Number 2 was submitted by BLU-WAFFLES. This one time, Emoji's class had an assignment due in physics. When the time came to hand them in, Emoji noticed one of her classmates hiding at the back of the room looking anxious. He obviously hadn't done the assignment, but when the teacher asked him why, he scratched his head and said, "Because the wind blew my textbook away." Emoji's teacher looked angrily at the boy and said, "You telling me you didn't complete this assignment because the wind blew your 9-pound textbook away?" The whole class started laughing at him and he received an instant fail. The lesson there? Don't lie to your physics teacher about physics. Number 1 was submitted by Hills SR20. One time, Gooby stayed out late with her friends on a school night. The next day, she was really grumpy and tired. She'd forgotten to do her homework, so when the teacher came over to collect it, Gooby lied and said that she had done it, but that her little sister had erased it this morning. The teacher was very suspicious because there were no marks or creases in the paper. In order to convince him, Gooby committed to the lie and started crying about how her sister had sabotaged her. They ended up calling Gooby's sister Snoopy into the office to get to the bottom of it. Snoopy proved she was innocent, so Gooby got into twice as much trouble for lying. Huge thanks for all the folks over on our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. We have another question for you. What's something weird you do when you're nervous? Let us know in the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown. This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. Catch you guys next time.